Ladies and gentlemen, Ron James.
Thank you. There you go. Well, well, Calgary, huh? Pleasure to be back in the red meat lands of the West to celebrate 100 years made manifest, huh? Who'd have thought in the dusty days at turn of the century Calgary that 100 years later, Albertans would be sitting in a multi-million-dollar Epcor Center watching a homegrown maritimer now living in Toronto do a show about them for a network owned by Ottawa. Of course, you're living large in the Kingdom of Klein these days. Well, with oil at 68 bucks a barrel, every time a car blows up in Baghdad, there's 2 new ones in every Albertan's driveway. Meanwhile, your neighbors next door in Saskatchewan are staring across the fence, watching you fellas pull another million off your fossil fuel money tree. Would it have hurt the dinosaurs to have died here, Margaret? Of course, next door in Saskatchewan last year when they had their provincial budget balanced, they gave everybody in the province a $137 tax rebate. Yeah, that half of them lost at the government-run casino. There's the face of socialism for you. Here you go. Give it back. You won't find any of that Tommy Douglas socialism in the Kingdom of Klein, now, will you? Geez, Ralph's idea of compassion is to put another table in the non-smoking section. What's with the antiquated pro-smoking laws in Alberta, anyway? Feel like it's 1957. Walk into a restaurant, friggin' smoking section's the size of Olympic Stadium. Non-smoking, I'm sitting at one of 2 broken tables by the Collards Only fountain. I know one thing, it's venture capitalism rules this town, isn't it, huh? Sure, Toronto might fancy itself the economic hub of the country, what with its Aryan-eyed, sphincter-twisted, blue blood bankers ruling Bay Street. There's a different demographic afoot in these parts, though, isn't it? Geez, Calgary's business district's ruled by those type A self-made millionaire mavericks, punch-drunk on Encana stock options, planning the overthrow of Eastern elites and the company of liver-lipped Tory fat cats during piss-tank power lunches at the Louis. Hard to believe, though, that Alberta and Saskatchewan were almost one big province called Buffalo, huh? That's hard to believe. 100 years ago, yeah? Geez, you would have had the best of both worlds today. You'd be living in a debt-free, filthy rich socialist utopia run by co-op happy capitalists with a social conscience, huh? Sure, Buffalo'd be Tommy Douglas on steroids, wouldn't it? Everybody be getting their health care premium free at private clinics, running a public purse. Doctors and nurses so patient attentive you'd want to get sick. But you don't need a heart transplant, Mr. James. Jesus, pull her out anyway. And with Saskatchewan heart and her love of the poet, and Alberta crude and his love of the buck, playwrights would no longer have to suffer hungry for their craft, but instead would be driving their Cadillacs to the government store for that $100,000 art grant gimme to write the musical called Ralph. God knows you need it right now. Ralph's idea of culture is blacklight bowling. Oh, yeah. One big province called Buffalo. What a dream. Of course, the Liberals put an end to that, didn't they? Apparently, Laurier didn't want one big province exerting undue influence over Ottawa. Guess he forgot to tell Quebec. I'm always pissing off the French waiters, though, huh? Stumbling through my grade 10 French. Bonjour, je m'appelle Ron, et toi? Qu'est-ce que c'est that steak I ordered 62 Jesus minutes ago? It's because I'm visiting during tourist season and they don't want Canadian money then, that's why. No. Geez, the table of vacation Americans beside me are getting the kind of Saguenay step and fetch it service not seen since house slaves served the friggin' peas. Now, where's my steak, man? It's a good thing you brought my kid crayons, because the purple one smelled like grapes. I ate the bastards. One thing's for certain, there's no love lost for liberals here, is there? No. Geez, I'd hate to be campaigning door to door for the liberals out west. You get a warmer welcome wave in a Watchtower magazine. Have you thought of the world tomorrow? Yeah, and you're not in it. Slam. It's not like the liberals lost the West overnight, though. Geez, Lester B. Pearson knew more about the Suez Canal and the Bow River. And Trudeau's national energy policy, there's a wound still smarts out this way. Geez, I brought that up the other day at a table of Westerners. I hadn't heard swearing like that since Linda Blair's head started spinning. Yeah, because you remember back in '83, boom went bust in a heartbeat, the money went home to Houston, and that GMC Suburban in the driveway turned K-car ugly faster than Cinderella's footman. Oh, yeah. That's a wake-up call then, wasn't it, eh? Of course, Chrétien, geez, I've been out here more times in 2 years and that fellow wasn't 20. And I'm looking for laughs. Chrétien, geez, the kickbacks in Quebec happen on that guy's watch anyway. Cripes, Vito Corleone's got nothing on Chrétien. He left Paul Martin everything but a horse head in his bed. Oh, yeah. And Paul Martin, for the first 2 years of his minority government, he's been strapped to that Gomery rack with a kick-me sign in his ass. Every time our premier planted a boot there, he coughed up more money. Best thing Paul Martin's got going for him is Stephen Harper, anyway. Boy, there's a branding problem. Stephen Harper, I've seen hair move more than a plastic Ken doll. If there was ever a candidate for a makeover on Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. Of course, he lost on the same-sex marriage thing. Oh, glad that's over with. About time, huh? Such a fuss about that it's going to destroy the sanctity of the institution. Look, if the sanctity of the institution can survive the 40% shit-kicking divorce rates gave it over the last 50 years, surely two people tying the knot because they believe in it sounds like a vote of confidence to me. I don't know, huh? Besides, after 20 years together, it all boils down to not passing wind in bed and who stole the friggin' blankets anyway. I met Harper at the airport. He says to me, you know, we're always looking for writers. I'm thinking, geez, Steve, I'm a comedian. I write jokes about you, not for you. Big news was Belinda Stronach crossing the floor, changing parties. I felt sorry for Peter MacKay. It's clear she made her millions in auto parts because she sure knew how to make him look like a tool. I've had it up to here with politicians. They're the same guys in different ties. Glad hand and backstabbing political opportunists with a pathological pursuit of power who, once they get it, don't give a rat's ass about the very people who gave them the power in the first place, huh? Except for Ralph, I know, except for Ralph. Except for Ralph. That $7 billion surplus sitting on 960 cadillion. You don't even have the word for how much oil's up there, do you? Cadillion, gabillion, willion barrels of Jeesley crude. $7 billion surplus. That's not even counting the money he made from VLTs. Only thing I'll bet on is Grey Cup anyway. Sure. Which American quarterback's going to get frostbite before the end of the second quarter? Because you can be guaranteed when that game's being played out west, there'll be some ignorant Arctic freight train of a wind chill rattling across the flatlands, testing the limits of a Christian man's profanity. Fans in the stands be wrapped in enough thermal layers to circumnavigate the polar ice cap. Always a couple of rabid fans watching the whole game in the end zone, shit-faced and shirtless. By the end of the day, they'll be so hypothermic they'll hallucinate a Hamilton victory. Grey Cup's always an event when it's played out here, though, isn't it, huh? Everybody's into it. But the only way you know there's Grey Cup in Toronto, you see a guy riding a horse in the hotel lobby. And he's waiting for his buddy who took the cow up the elevator. So to speak. Anyway, it's the... Oh, yeah, she's a Grey Cup, huh? Oh, but that weather, you gotta love your weather living out west, don't you? I remember my first prairie snowstorm. It was late June. I was driving from Lethbridge to Regina when the blue day turned pit bull ugly shapeshifter fast. In the blink of an eye, I'm in a cattle-killing blizzard a Yeti wouldn't wander. Can't see squat. In the ditch are flip rigs, a banged-up cop car, and a jackknife Winnebago. That'll teach you to come home this early from Arizona. And I'm thinking, you know, in this ignorant whiteout, how the hell did the early pioneers suffer this on a regular basis? I'm ready for medication as a car radio cut out. And I'm driving a Ford Taurus, not living in a sod hut. There's a cozy crib first winter in the New World. House made of dirt. How bad did life back home have to suck when living like that's winning the lottery? Sod hot. I got bent out of shape when my new Sony Trinitron wouldn't fit down the basement stairs. Sod hot. Just 5 more blocks of topsoil and I got the kitchen finished. I'd have been dead in an hour. Wife standing over my corpse. Brundi shividye di bundi kiste dievedye. Bundi kiste dievedye bushdevye. But they came all the same, didn't they? To the promised land, those 19th century serfs escaping feudal backwaters, where bad guys with big mustaches kicked you comatose for just looking happy. From shtetls, villages, ghettos, and towns they came, hoping for a better run at a new day where you could be all who you wanted and not who you were. Right on, brother, I hear you. And the dream was the same for those of us born in Atlantic Canada to lobster blood. Oh yeah, I'm telling you. When that oil boom hit in the 1970s, we heard Alberta's clarion call to riches loud and clear. Cripes, the East hadn't seen an exodus of numbers like that since Charlton Heston parted the Red Sea. Only thing missing was a biblical soundtrack, fast-moving Jews and slow-moving Egyptians. Sure, from Gambo to St. Louis to Ha Ha, And all points in between, the learned and the lost fixed their eyes to the horizon and made where tomorrow was shining bright as a new dream. We were coming to the land of the second chance, where those of us born to pogey culture could finally shirk that Sisyphean weight and score big-time boons in the oil patch. Not all of us made it this far west, mind you. One fella I know stopped for a leak on the road in Saskatchewan, hasn't been heard from since. Last seen, he was just wandering the wheat, chasing a thought. I just wanted to use the whole stage so CBC wouldn't think they wasted their money. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm working up a thirst, man. Of course, we always arrived here, didn't we? Arrived in those rusty 69 Dodges. Only shocks in the car were the 15 cases of Keats in the trunk. That was living large compared to the early pioneers. Cripes, they had travel agents hell wouldn't suffer. Packed in tight on a rusty steamer for a 10-week seasick bounce across the stormy Atlantic. You know, you're in the bunk trying to score with the missus whilst dodging the puke of buddy and the one above you. Land in Halifax, sure to get long enough to get deloused and laughed at by the locals. Dockside Haligonians in the 19th century. Geez, there's a welcome wagon now, huh? A gauntlet of thick-browed herring chokers smelling a skunky tenpenny and fish guts looking like they've been sired by bubbles. Then they're stuck in a train bound for Winnipeg. I can barely suffer Via Rail today. Somebody should tell Via Rail they're a service industry and not a friggin' penal transport. Random stops in the middle of nowhere. What the hell, is the conductor checking his trap line or what? And the service with those stewards. Sweet Jesus, zombies move quicker than these surly bastards. And they're so lazy they got fired from the post office. There's an intimacy with train travel, though, you don't get by plane, huh? How many evenings have you spent in a bar car on a plane playing crib with an escaped mental patient, a couple of non-arm wrestlers, and a chimp? Actually, that's a series I just pitched to the CBC. I have to make the chimp an Inuit child, and they're in for a full season. Yeah. But back to the immigrants. I hope you're still with me on the immigrants. You think it's hard following me? Try remembering this shit. Anyway, That's right, huh? They worked hard, didn't they, huh? Building that promised land, of course, you know. But, you know, that's the thing. When immigrants came from far away, they tried their best to do what they could with as little as they had. And that's 100 years ago, and here you are still fighting nature. Cripes, the spring floods alone. Yes, huh? But the only stampede Calgary damn near had was one for higher ground. At least with all the water, the farmers are happy. Mind you, now they're farming salmon. I guess the PCBs in the salmon are safer than the BCEs in the cattle, huh? And how do farmers handle all this doomsday news about food? Bad enough being in a line of work, you work like a slave to lose money. And it's dangerous too, apparently, farming. Isn't it one of the top three? If Buddy doesn't have his shoulder up to the blades in a combine, he's elbow deep in a witch's brew of pesticides growing frankenfood. Saying, sure, my potatoes might be healthy, but some poor bugger outside of Esterhazy's missing 3 fingers with a 9-pound cauliflower growth on his balls. Farmers got a way of taking the world in stride, though, don't they? They're a stoic bunch, I tell you. Sure, I played farming communities. Here's a farmer laughing his ass off. Geez, that mad cow was a crippler, wasn't it? George Bush slammed his border shut tighter than the mind of Jerry Falwell. Cripes, there were mad cows in America too, you know. Cripes, Courtney Love and Martha Stewart alone. I never stopped eating Alberta beef, though. No, I'm a carnivore. Sure, I like vegetables. I just like them with meat. My kids enjoy a rare steak. Unless they're dabbing a pool of blood up on their plate with a biscuit, they consider the steak burnt, huh? But people will always tell you, you're not eating red meat, are you? Geez, you never know what's in that, the hormones they shoot them up with. And I'm thinking, look, come on. I spend my summers breathing a toxic grab bag of Toronto air that's coating my lungs with everything from atomized mouse turds to Martian dust. And I'm supposed to worry about the contents in a T-bone steak? Jesus, given the chemicals already bouncing around my system, it's wonder I haven't grown a set of tits and a tail.
In the small town of Glendon, 2 hours northeast of Edmonton, sits the statue of the world's biggest pierogi, which from a certain angle doesn't look like a pierogi at all. Licia, the giant Ukrainian girl. Guess we know where the world's biggest pierogi came from, don't we?
You know the trouble with Canada, though? We don't know enough about each other. That's the problem right there. We're strangers living in the same land, aren't we, huh? Back in Toronto, folks asked me, what are you doing next, Ron? I said, I'm doing a special on the West. I'm following the setting sun to commune with the hum of the horizons calling. They thought I was talking about Mississauga. I said, no, the real West, you tool. Where you're sent home from work during Calgary Stampede if you're not drunk. That's a 10-day bacchanalian revelry can rival the heyday of Rome, though, isn't it? Office romance is running amok. If you haven't been caught humping in the elevator once, you're not working hard enough. Everybody wants to be a cowboy during Stampede. Only city in Canada you can show up to work wearing cowboy boots and chaps and not be mistaken for a bouncer at a gay bar. Sure, everybody comes to Stampede, though, and not just Albertans either, but from the four corners of the world they come, sporting Wrangler Stetsons and brand new boots so stiff the blisters won't be gone till Ramadan. And belt buckles, too, they'll be sporting, big, bright 20-pound zirconium pigs that can harness solar power. You can see him down under the counter at Lamley's. Geez, the sun hits those in the right way, it'll blind the crew on the bridge of the mothership. But they're all drawn westward, though, you know, by those childhood dreams sired in bunk bed sleeps when you were wrapped in those cowboy blankets festooned with, you know, TP, six guns, Indians, and horses. To the west they come to see the rodeo. Geez, there's an eye-opener. Caught my first stampede ever this summer. Brahma bull riding. If that isn't something, huh? seeing a human being blast out of the gates on 2,100 pounds of pissed off spinning muscle that's turning every vertebrae in your back to tapioca, not to mention what it's doing to your nuts. That's what I tell people. That's the West I'll be going to, I tell them. Where curling's not a sport, it's a blood cult. Their Saskatchewan grandmothers playing that game with such a killer instinct for competition, they'd parade their opponent's head round the rink on a pointy stick. Someone told me, a rumor, that there's Bonspiel love camps north of Edmonton where there's siren legions of young curlers with the frozen seed or Randy Furby. Sure, that's the West I'll be a-seeing, huh? Standing small on a patch of Saskatchewan rolling prairie on one of those sun-smiley meadowlark mornings to watch the wind rule the big wide open. Neath blue skies, filthy with eagle-eyed raptors in flight, tucking for lunch in a prairie dog town. Boy, that's a sight when you're driving the prairies, though, isn't it? Huh? seeing a hawk fly by your windshield with a gopher stuck in its talons, huh? And the gophers always look so confused. I forgot to watch for the shadow. That's where I'll be going. That's the West I'll see. Where Coyote Wild lives so backdoor close, family Shih Tzus go missing the first sign of drought. All you'll hear is a yip and a yelp. Come morning, all that's left is fur tracks and a rhinestone choker that shouldn't have been on the poor little fella in the first place. I'm bound for lands where pagan spirits still ride the wind, like heads smashed in buffalo jump. Wow, how cool is that place, eh? I stood there lonesome listening once in a tourist-free fall to thundering armies of ghost buffalo come tumbling over that lip of land of the valley far below. There's big Jeesley goosebumps are raising on my arms, voices rising up from the friggin' valley. Buffalo, buffalo. Oh, geez, I must be having one of those past life experiences General Patton had on the field of battle, I'm thinking. I'm a great Sioux chief leading his people to a buffalo buffet. Suddenly the vision's clearer. No, I'm not a chief. I'm the tool standing at the foot of the cliff the friggin' place is named after. Buffalo? I don't see any buffalo. Oh, here they come. What a Buffalo Nation. Could you imagine that, huh? Seeing that Buffalo Nation in its 80 million prime, moving mighty as Jehovah from the tundra to Texas with nary a mini-mall to block its passage. Of course, Henry Kelsey was the first white man to see the buffalo. Sure, crossed the west for the bay back in a day when Beaver was king. Of course, everyone in Calgary knows that's Cowboys Bar on Saturday night, but... But you know what? White guys wouldn't have seen squat without some native guy going, over there, that way. Cross the river here. Jesus, do I have to tell you guys everything? They gave us fur, we gave them smallpox, huh? Of course, we never went to war with native people. No, we went to court. No wonder native folks are still pissed off about Treaty 7. You spend 200 years talking to lawyers. Sure. I know divorced couples spent just 2 weeks talking to them who'd happily scalp the bastard. Well, most folks think that the West was guns and outlaws. That's the American West, the death and destruction. The Canadian West wasn't one with 6 guns blazing. You can't pull a Colt 45 from your holster at high noon during a -57 Fort Edmonton wind chill. Draw. I would, but I haven't felt my finger since Halloween. Sure, America's a violent culture, though. I lived down there for a while. They'll be right up front about the weapon, too, man, you know? Buddy told me he could get me my own little handgun. I could keep it in a box by my bed with a fluorescent combination only I would know. Oh, only I'll know the combination. Family's sleeping in safety's arms now. I couldn't remember the combination of my high school locker after Christmas vacation. How in the hell am I going to remember that at 4 in the morning with a head full of sleep? There's a guy at the foot of the bed with a bat and a balaclava. Honey, wake up. What are the kids' birthdays? Yeah, but America, you know, it's all guns, man. They're gun crazy. The citizens in America are packing more heat than our military has. My American friends ask me, how come he didn't come to war with us in Iraq? Geez, you need weapons for that, don't you? Of course, Canada never had a gun problem, and it still cost us $1.7 billion. Yeah. There's some liberal logic for you, huh? Pulling a shotgun from the hands of a rural hunter to stop downtown drive-by shootings in Toronto. Did you get a look at the perpetrator's son? Yeah, a couple of pot-bellied 60-year-olds wearing bright orange hats with a Labrador retriever sitting between them. I tell you, Gordy, I'm gonna cap that mofo because he's been messing with my hoe. Sure, there's the reason for the spike in the Canadian crime wave. Guys from Ducks Unlimited.
Oh, will you look at that? Jeez, the things you see when you leave the highway, huh? I didn't do it.
Who needs missile defense when you've got this baby?
Oh. Next time, I'll wear a helmet.
Oh, the West, though, huh? I'll tell you, folks. Being born to the have-not Maritimes, that West has always stood as a golden beacon of opportunity, that land of the second chance, promising release for we Eastern bums and scums and our soul-sucking burden of pogie culture. Oh, yeah. But you got her made, though, man. That $7 billion surplus. Ralphie's been in power for 30 years. His last election was a coronation, not a vote. Cripes, the kings of France had more opposition to their rule than Ralph Klein. He's one step away from riding in a golden carriage, throwing coins to his loyal subjects. Not so fast, you don't look that handicapped. Of course, you always forgive them, though, don't you? Yeah. That's because Westerners figure Ralph's been sent by God to save your petrodollars from the clutches of the heathen East. Look at Fort McMurray. That's unbelievable. I took the plane up to Fort McMurray, got on the hotel shuttle. I thought I took it to the wrong province. Lady driving looks at me and says, "Where are you going to, my darling? My honey, my little partridge berry, what grows in the barren lands north of Dildo? Where is you going, my dear, my dear?" I'm thinking, geez, if it wasn't for unemployment in Atlantic Canada, the West would have to hire real Mexican labor. Oh, Fort McMoney, petroleum rules. Buddy with no more than grade 9 education is making $51 an hour driving a truck the size of a Belgian Dutchie. He's shackled to feudal servitude in pursuit of the Syncrude dream, working 24/7, 365, living on Kraft dinner, canned wieners, and crystal meth. It's unbelievable. And there's 40,000 more jobs coming, though, with $60 billion worth of Suncor investment, but Main Street has potholes clear to China. I'm thinking, geez, the companies better start coughing up some coin for the infrastructure, or pretty soon folks are going to start thinking all Big Oil cares about is profit. I'll tell you one thing, when you work the hours like they do in the oil patch, vacation's not a vacation, it's medical leave, huh? Hope they have better luck traveling than I did. Went to Mexico last year after my tour. I figured, why not, huh? 25 years in the business, traveling around the country. It's only the last 6 I've had any wind in my sails. Up until then, about the only contribution I was making to my RSPs was when I cashed in my friggin' empties, huh? So there we are at the airport, got to get there 3 hours early for the 6 a.m. flight for the ritual pistol whipping at airport security. Since 9/11, flying's gone squirrely, hasn't it? After that tragedy, Air Canada saddled up to the government trough looking for a $150 million handout because people were afraid to fly. Geez, people were afraid to laugh. Nobody gave me any friggin' money. Now they've got Celine Dion as a spokesperson. Geez, proof positive aliens walk among us. And people, oh dear God, the first line of deterrence to terror in the skies are a couple of thick-browed rent-a-cops from a gene pool so shallow you wouldn't get wet jumping in. They're frisking down a young mother with her baby screeching himself apoplectic in the stroller. Geez, there's not a shade in the Benjamin Moore paint palette can match the color on that kid's face. He's screaming so loud, he's not making a sound. A high-pitched frequency heard only by chihuahuas and the criminally insane. Light bulbs are busting, noses are bleeding. 5,700 kilometers away in the tundra, vast numbers of caribou calves prematurely slipped from their mother's gelatinous yolk sac. Are you getting the picture? And they're fondling the poor woman's breast pump like it's black market plutonium. Geez, it's a breast pump, you simp. She's a lactating mother. Who do you think's in the stroller screeching himself purple? The world's only 18-month-old Al-Qaeda operative? What do you think that little fella's gonna do at 30,000 feet? Whip that diaper off his arse and make a beeline for the cockpit with a mitt full of poo? Sure, browbeat the mother till her ears bleed. Meanwhile, half the baggage handlers with security clearance are card-carrying members of Islamic Jihad. Got to do something to fight the suicide bombers. Oh, they're after everybody. But how do you fight a foe who believes that's the route to eternal salvation? But he figures as soon as he steps into Allah's Valhalla, there's 70,000 horny sirens of the afterlife itching to service his every sexual whim. Geez, I had to take 12 weeks of confirmation class and I still don't know if I'm getting in. let alone getting any when I get there. But we gotta go anyway, you know? Because we gotta see the sun, that's why. Honest to God, in Toronto, about the only sun we see from November to February is a friggin' tabloid, huh? Unlike out here, I know, geez, you're going on about the sun in winter, aren't you? Sunny days, sunny days, sunny days. Sounds like the needle stuck on a Lighthouse album. Sure. Topical music references right here is a fella that's 47. You know it. Sure. But of course, you've got your break here. You got those Chinooks, that warm air rolling over the Rockies, melting the winter away. As soon as that barometric pressure starts dropping, though, you can hear the shotguns going off in the silos. Geez, the manic depressives will be digging their foxholes deep tonight, won't they? Be a note on the front door. I'm in the dark corner of the basement sucking my thumb till the cold comes again. I learned all I need to know about Chinooks from watching the Weather Network. Gee, since I turned 47, that's been on in my house 24/7, huh? What the hell is that? You know, you get older, you want to know what the snow's doing in Budapest or something, right? Look at that, honey, they just got 27 centimeters of snow up in Fort Chipaway. Geez, I'm glad I'm not on the road up there tonight. No wonder it took my career 25 years to get going. Like, half the places I played still had Fort in their name. Now, if you say you're in showbiz, it's best to be playing south of the tree line. Should have known something was up when the club owner tried to pay me in muskrat pelts, huh? You scrape the guts off that, Ronnie, be worth something in Toronto. Yeah. But back to Mexico we go, huh? Geez, we're so psyched for escape, we'd have duct taped ourselves to the wheel wells to get out, honest to God. Because you gotta escape winter. 498 punchy, sun-hungry travelers, drawn from the vast and sprawling armies of the middle class, are bound for the Yucatan Sunbelt for a week's worth of respite far from winter's ignorant dirge. We're still sporting our winter skin too. And after 24 hours in the tropics, those of us not smeared in 50-plus sunblock will be starting to bubble. And we're flying Air Transat too. On the same page, are we, Calgary? A little bit of leg room wouldn't hurt, fellas. I'm not exactly first-round 7-foot draft pick for the Toronto Raptors. But Jesus H. Christ. A ventriloquist suitcase has more room. Arterial thrombosis is swelling my joints. We haven't even left the friggin' ground yet. Gotta be a 7th level Bikram yogi master just to get the Jeesley coffee cup to your lips. And at 5:30 a.m., I'm pinching back an early morning ass blaster. They're sure as shooting at this squeaks from my trousers is gonna empty the fuselage clear to the cockpit. Land in Mexico, gotta drive an hour and a half from the airport to the hotel, and of course the drive, through bone-crushing corrugated tin hut, spooky-eyed third world poverty, where scrawny village dogs with pendulous nipples suckle their rabid brood beneath diseased palm trees. This picture wasn't on the brochure. I'm indignant. We got to do something to help those people. Suddenly we turn into the hotel and belly high. Whoa, look at the buffet. To hell with them, I'm helping myself. Saddle on up to the buffet. Oh, and there's enough food to stop a charging rhino, huh? And I make my way to the papaya. Whoa, look at that. Suddenly, I feel the ground begin to tremble, and I realize, oh, I'm sharing the hotel with Americans on vacation. Jesus, run for your life, because the thunder lizards are chowing down. Listening to a cacophony of Appalachian accents not heard the likes of since callbacks for Hee Haw's Roadshow. Hey, Mama, give me a little old key lime pie. Bring it on down the beach for me and Junior, Mama. I'm gonna get me a key lime pie. He's 9/11, 7-Eleven's killing that country. It's tough living next door to the greatest nation on earth from time to time. Don't get me wrong, I'm fond of America, but geez, sometimes I know how Iraqis must feel. There's no tanks in my street, and I'm ready for jihad because Microsoft Word won't let me spell neighbor with a U.
If you're ever in White Bear, Saskatchewan, don't show fear. Oh yeah, this polar bear might look like a statue, but if I move first, I'm history.
Here's a ride you don't see at Stampede. Just living a Canadian showbiz dream. Come on, get on up. Come on, get on up. Environmental issues are real. Those PCBs in the Arctic food chain, geez, they're finding hermaphrodite polar bears up there. Yeah, that's a phrase I bet you never thought would be in your lexicon, huh? Hermaphrodite polar bears. Poor bugger doesn't know whether to stalk the seal or dance with them. Of course, some scientists will tell you fossil fuels aren't the cause of global warming. Guess those are the guys driving gold-plated Beamers at Esso Bottom, huh? I figured you'd go quiet on that one. Don't get your Kyoto knickers in a knot. I drive an SUV, sure I do, huh? But I'm trying to balance it with saving a ton, walking around the house yelling at the kids, turn the lights off in the basement when you're not using them. No one listens to me though, so I gave them a wake-up call. Turn the lights off or I'm trading in a Toyota 4Runner for a smart car. There's a reality check, huh? No more hassle-free winter driving through snowdrifts for us. No siree, we'll be packed into that Kinder Egg of a smart car, tighter than 8 circus clowns at a Ringling Brothers picnic. I got a question. If they're smart cars, how come you look so stupid in them? What's best with the West? That's the Rockies, though, huh? Boy, you got her pretty good being so close to that skier's paradise. Banff, Lake Louise, Sunshine, Jasper. Sure, they're a little expensive, though, aren't they, huh? I went skiing a couple years ago. Geez, I was paying $32.50 at Hillside for a lumpy breakfast burrito. $32.50. I said to my wife, "Cripes, if I pass wind, bottle it, darling. That's worth $9.10. Of course, skiing, I'm still the same spaz I was when I put the skis on in 1975, huh? Only I don't start my day 5 super tokes into the morning. Didn't do anything in the 70s without rolling a fatty first, huh? I could never function on that stuff, though. I'd start speaking Mayan in a heartbeat. You know, all my friends blasting on down me past the hill, squinty-eyed stone. Come on, man! There's me, numbnuts, took a wrong turn on a double diamond. Standing alone in the middle of a mogul run, sporting a pair of snot popsicles, waiting for spring. Of course, you don't want to downhill ski, you can always do the cross-country skiing. There's a weekend pastime, seems like a lot of work for nothing, huh? Pushing and sliding and grunting and sweating and pushing and sliding and grunting. Geez, that's sex without the satisfaction. The Rockies are an ecosystem in crisis, though. There's stuff going on there. Look, folks, I'm all for progress, okay? But what's with the grizzly bears and golf courses, huh? Can we find a compromise of sorts? Right? Look, I'm no radical tree-spiking earth firster. You know, living on magic mushrooms and trail mix, who'd sooner polybag his own poo as bury it when he's camping. But if you keep building golf courses on 10,000-year-old game trails, pretty soon a ninth hole handicap's gonna have a whole new meaning. It's hard to work on your backswing when you're missing an arm from the shoulder on down. And what do you have to protect yourself, though, out there? Bear spray. Yeah, I'll be able to get that out of my golf bag. When Ursus horribilis is barreling down the fairway at 55 clicks an hour looking to turn me into protein. I can't find 3 friggin' tees in 5 minutes. Am I gonna get the spray out? Oh, the bear's coming, here's the spray. Let me get my zipper. And instruction, geez, a bear starts mauling me, friggin' that's going in my eyes. Sure, I'll be in so much pain from the friggin' spray, I won't feel it when he starts biting me, huh? Of course, they try to tell you as you enter the parks, you know, warning, you're now entering bear country, and the first thing they'll tell you is, should you have an encounter with a grizz, avoid eye contact. Geez, how much government grant money did you get to come up with that pearl of wisdom? And the second thing they'll tell you is walk back slowly. I find any kind of motor movement at all is going to be seriously compromised by the load you're carrying in your trousers. When I was out there, Buddy got mauled by a grizzly bear behind the Dairy Queen. You don't expect that, do you? Coming nose to nose with 822 kilos of ranged up, hungry, inbred grizz when you're sucking back a Mr. Misty. If I'm charged by a grizz, I just break into Bobby De Niro, huh? You charging me a fat furry fuck? Yeah, of course, you don't want the bears to get you. The cougars could bring you down, too. Many a person has disappeared, gone out for a walk, whew, vanished. Show up 6 months later, 3 valleys over, nothing but a lone digit sticking out of a pile of cougar crap. Mind you, there's cougars roaming bars in Fernie who've left far less of a man. But I'm told the most dangerous animal in the parks, mother elk during calving season. And they'll drop a calf anywhere too, you know. Makes no never mind of nature. Grocery store, parking lot, bowling alley, laundromat, street corner. And I'll just have at her, huh? Hard to make a deposit at the ATM machine when there's a 900-pound mother blocking the doorway licking the placenta off her spawn. Of course, mating season's the worry with the elk. Yeah. You don't know you're in trouble till you feel the hoofs on your shoulder. Of course, there's always the mountains in springtime, isn't there, huh? That's when the hikers are bedecked in their hiking finery and hitting the trails. You'll see them sporting their tilly clothes they got for Christmas. Oh, the tilly clothes. Look at me, I'm wearing tilly clothes, look. I'm so white, I'm scaring myself, look. I'm wearing tilly clothes and pinching a pet of walnuts twixt the cheeks of my ass, look. And the tilly hat. My face would have to be a garden of flower and melanoma before I'd put that pretentious lid in my head. Let alone tie up the chin strap. If that's not screaming weak link in the food chain, huh? Tying up the chin strap on a Tilly hat's the same as being a gazelle with a limp round the water hole. It's only a matter of time before you're going down. All those outdoor stores do the same. They suck you in to make you think you need more stuff, huh? Like tents. I'm a sucker for the nice geodesic dome tents when you see them sitting on the floor of the shop. Of course, I get them to the campsite. No pictures with the instructions. Gonna be trouble there, man, huh? As I need to see the happy stick people giving me the 1, 2, 3 easy setup. But having stuff is one thing, but it's the moments you can't measure where the soul hums the loudest. And the West has that in spades. You know, for a region sitting on a world of wealth, your best currency isn't even in your wallet. It's people and place. It's a state of mind. It's a way of walking through the world in the big wide open, huh? And I'm just a fellow traveler in my nation of origin who's had the good fortune to witness it. Folks back home watching, don't believe me? Come on out west and see for yourself. Geez, I did, and CBC gave me a comedy special your tax dollars paid for. Sure, man. Whatever I can do to keep the West from walking. Thank you very much.
How you doing? With someone like you, a pal so good and true, I'd like to leave it all behind and go and find a place that's known to go alone, just a spot to call our own. We'll find a perfect peace where joys will never cease, out there beneath the kindly sky. Way out there, we'll build a sweet, a little nest, somewhere out in the west, and let the rest of the world go by. See you later now.